This is day 12, 30 teams, 30 videos. Let's get into it. If you haven't already, like and subscribe. Watch the rest of the videos. Here we go. Let's go. Who's it going to be? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The new, maybe the New York Knicks. Here we go. Coming into this season, the Knicks made two gigantic trades that made people feel like they were going to be one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. And so far, they haven't necessarily lived up to that hype, but they have had a very good season. And in case you don't know, those two trades, the first one was when they acquired Mikal Bridges. Shout out Woj, by the way. This was one of his final big trade tweets. Anyways, they acquired Mikal Bridges for Boyan Bogdanovic, which wasn't a huge deal, but they also got they gave up four unprotected picks, a protected pick from the Bucks, and an unprotected pick swap and second rounder. Just to put that into context, they gave away 5 first round picks plus a pick swap and a second round pick for Mikal Bridges, who a lot of people were very angry about. They're like, that is way too much for him. But then other people on the other side of things were like, this is exactly what the Knicks need to complete their team. He was from he went to was it Villanova? Sorry, I'm not great with college basketball. Yes, it was Villanova. It was him and Dante DiVincenzo, Jalen Brunson, uh, um, who was the fourth? Josh Hart, I think. I don't know, but they're a bunch of their main guys were from Villanova, and they were on the same team together, and so it just made perfect sense for the fact that they already have the chemistry, so they weren't too worried about that. And Mikal Bridges is a very, very good defensive player, which obviously was putting the Knicks over the top when it comes defensively. They already have Josh Hart, and I think they had OG Anunoby at this point. Regardless, this didn't last long because the Knicks made one more big move, and that move was trading Dante DiVincenzo. That was not the big part of it. They traded Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo to get Karl Anthony Towns, who is one of the best centers in the entire league. And logically, this made some sense, right? The Knicks needed a center. They needed Karl Anthony Towns. Or I guess they just needed a center in general, and I don't think a lot of people expected it a Karl Anthony Towns trade to happen from Minnesota's side, which I'm not going to talk about. I talked about it earlier in a video before. Go watch that. But it the Julius Randle aspect made sense because Julius Randle was a player who just didn't really fit with the Knicks with what they were doing, and so trading him to get a very good center in Karl Anthony Towns made a lot of sense. In the moment too, as well, the Dante DiVincenzo aspect didn't make sense because they felt like one, it was ripping apart the Villanova boys, but also because he was at the time a top 6 man of the year. But Dante DiVincenzo, we learned later, didn't want to be a 6 man. He wanted to have a bigger role on a team, which honestly backfired on him. And so going into the season, it was essentially the Knicks starting five. How good could they be, and how long could they stay healthy and keep this team in the running to be a top contender in the Eastern Conference? And let's just say that did not disappoint. The Knicks are sitting at the 3 seed, which is not bad by any means, especially knowing how not great the Eastern Conference is. And so you kind of expect them to be in that range. Now, their record isn't as good as I think a lot of people hoped. They may or may not hit 50 wins. They're basically locked into that 3 seed. They're not going to catch the Celtics, but they're also probably not going to get caught by any of the teams below them. So I would say that the next season hasn't necessarily been completely disappointing, but I do think record wise, they haven't really lived up to the hype that their starting five really did create going into the season. Now, a lot of this has really been dramatized when it comes to their starting five needs to carry, their starting five this, their starting five that. Tom Thibodeau has taken that. Tom Thibodeau. Did I say Thibodeau? I meant Thibodeau. Actually, I don't know which it is. Tommy T. That's what we're going to call him from now on. Tommy T is has dramatized this whole idea when it comes to when it comes to their starting five needing to play as much as they can, look at this. This is organized by minutes. Number one is Josh Hart. Number two is Mikal Bridges, each playing 37.7.6 minutes per game. That is insane. Right under them, Devin Booker. Okay. OG Ananobi, that is three Knicks players in the top four. Jalen Brunson is number 15 with 35 minutes a game, and Karl Anthony Towns is tied for 20th in minutes per game. That is insane. Their starting five is in the top 20 of minutes per game. I want that to sink in. Their starting five players, takes up literally, what's that? 20% of the top 20 players minutes in minutes per game. 20%. That is insane. So this has been a huge talking point, obviously, among the league for the whole season. But it leads me into talking about the playoffs. What does this mean for their playoffs? Uh, I believe that this is going to hurt them drastically. I think the fact that their starting five is playing so many minutes is going to make them tired in a 7 game series where they're going to have to be in a dogfight with either the Cavs or the Celtics if they make it past the first round. And not even that, but they have teams like if you look at the standings right now, they are set up to play the Bucks right now. And let's say the Bucks do good, the Pistons fall off. The Pistons could be at that 6 seed. The Pistons are a young, athletic, young, very young team, and the Bucks are no team to laugh at, to be honest with you. So they're going to meet a dogfight starting in the first round, right? And that is what is really scary to me when it comes to the Knicks. And the reason that this is such a big deal is because the Knicks are not just going to keep the same rotation that they have come playoff time. They're going to have to shorten the rotation and give their starters more minutes because it's more meaningful. And so, if you come into an elimination game where the Knicks are down four and there's the fourth quarter left, you're not going to go out and play Landry Shamet. You're not going to go out and play campaign. I'm sorry, you're going to play your guys and maybe they'll be conditioned enough to play it, to play that many minutes. Maybe. I don't see it. So where do the Knicks go from here? My personal opinion, and honestly, it's not an opinion, it's a fact. They need to get depth. They can't allow their starters to play 37 minutes a game throughout the entire regular season. Josh Hart has played 71 games. I think the Bridges have played 74 and they're playing 37 minutes a game. I don't think you guys like. I want you guys to just think about how insane that is. Um, but yeah, they need to find depth, and they don't have picks in this upcoming draft, right? They have a second round pick, and they have a first round pick protected by protected 1 through 10 from Washington, so that's not going to convey to them. Um, so they have one pick, and it's a second round pick. So that's not gonna, that's not gonna get you anywhere. Um, you're not banking on a second round pick to become a rotational player right away. But I will say, free agency is going to be a big deal for them, and I really do believe that. I think they're going to have to find ways to finesse getting some most likely veteran guys on small contracts, just because they have so many guys. Actually, let's look at their payroll. Like, this is crazy. Karl Anthony Towns has he's gonna have $60 million a year in 2027. So that's a huge contract. OG Anunoby's contract is only going to get bigger. Jalen Brunson's contract is only going to get bigger. I don't know how they finessed getting him to just 43, whatever. Mikal Bridges, they're going to have to extend if they want to keep. I don't think they traded all those first round picks just to not extend him. Josh Hart has a pretty big contract, not huge, but pretty big. Mitchell Robinson, are they going to afford him? I don't think so. After that, the rest doesn't really matter. But they're losing. Actually, it does matter because they're losing so many guys. Deuce McBride um, is going to stay around, and I think he'll actually be a very big part of the Knicks for the next few years at least. But the point is, they have to find a way to go into free agency and get some cheap players because they don't have the money for it. I mean, I don't have the exact number of what they need. Maybe it's at the bottom. I don't know, but man, dude, if this season doesn't go well, I don't know what they're gonna do. But yeah, that's it for me. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, Thanks for watching. Peace.